Hi, welcome back to the Cordless Vacuum Guide, and in this video, I'll compare 3 auto-empty robot vacuums from 2 different brands, the Yeedi Vac Station, Roomba i3 Plus, and the Roomba i6 Plus. The Yeedi Vac Station and Roomba i3 are close in terms of price, while the i6 Plus is more expensive. So why did I include the i6 in this comparison? Well, the Vac Station and i6 have very similar navigational sensors, as both use V-SLAM or Visual SLAM and rely on a camera and optical sensor for navigation. So basically, these robots move in a similar pattern, and I want to see how a startup will compare against a popular brand like iRobot. Yeedi is the least expensive of these options, and the question is, does it offer enough performance to warrant your consideration against an established brand like iRobot? I've spent the past weeks testing these products to find out, and let's get into it. One feature these robot vacuums share is the self-emptying feature, where a second vacuum in the base station empties the robot's dustbin automatically after every run. This feature has been gaining popularity as more and more brands have added it to their products. All 3 use a bag system, where debris goes into this bag inside the dock. When it fills up, you remove the bag and replace it. If you've watched my previous reviews, you'll know that I prefer a bag system with auto-empty robots because it eliminates allergen exposure as the bag seals itself when you pull it out. The capacity for all 3 is similar at around 2.5 liters based on the eye test. How long it lasts will depend on usage frequency and what debris it has to clean daily. For regular use, it should last around 30 days. The Roomba i3 and i6 Plus have sensors inside the clean base station that notify users if it's full, while Yeedi does not, so you'll have to do a visual check. Both brands have a similar style base station with a ramp where the port is located, which I prefer over vertical ports since there are no alignment issues to worry about. All 3 have round frames, which is standard for most robot vacuums available right now. The layout underneath is similar, with one side brush and a main brush. Yeedi uses a standard combo brush with bristles and rubber blades, while Roomba utilizes its patented counter-rotating rubber extractors. Roomba's extractors are slightly wider, but only a touch, so it shouldn't affect cleaning performance. Yeedi's dustbin loads from the top with a slightly larger capacity at 420 milliliters, slightly bigger than the i3 and i6's capacity of 400 ml that loads from the back. But the non-Plus i3 is larger at 500 milliliters, since it doesn't have this big notch inside for the clean base station. However, dirt volume won't matter much with auto-empty robot vacuums, as it empties itself after every run. These products are classified as smart navigating robots as each move in straight lines. However, the Roomba i3 Plus doesn't have V-SLAM, which means it cannot recognize landmarks or save maps. But it doesn't affect how it navigates, though users won't have access to features like keep-out zones and selective room cleaning. The Yeedi Vac Station and Roomba i6 Plus utilize V-SLAM, so each one relies on a top-mounted camera and floor sensors to create a map and track location. One difference is Yeedi's app has a live map, showing the robot's location in real time. In contrast, the iRobot app does not have this feature as it only shows this graphic as it navigates. All 3 can move in straight lines and adept at navigating around tight spaces and don't bump into furniture hard. Not much difference in this aspect. The Yeedi Vac Station has these 2 strips of thin rubber on its front bumper that provide some cushion from scuffing. Roomba doesn't have these strips but only bare plastic. Yeedi has a lower profile, measuring only a touch over 3 inches. While the Roomba i3 and i6 measure 3.63 inches, so Yeedi will fit under low clearance furniture better. Results for the coverage test are close, with no clear winner in this category. Each robot picked up a high percentage, but all 3 missed spots, particularly this area near the base station. You'll notice in these tests the side brush scattering a small portion of debris away from the main brush. It's an issue with all 3 as their side brushes spin fast. Not a big deal for daily messes that involves dust or hair, but it's just an observation from doing these experiments. With airflow, it's not close. The Yeedi Vac Station more than tripled the output of both the i3 and i6 with up to 23 CFM in the highest setting. It has 4 power modes, so you could tone it down if the Max Plus setting is too loud. Both Roomba products have 1 power setting, and as with all iRobot products, don't rely much on airflow since the rubber extractors are excellent at debris pickup, making it a popular option, especially for carpet. One surprise for me comparing the results is how well Yeedi stacks up against these 2 Roomba products, especially with deep cleaning tests, where Roomba products typically excel. The Vac Station is almost dead even with the i6 Plus across the board and slightly better than the i3 Plus. The Vac Station did the best in the sand on hard floor test with a 99.5% pickup, and the eye test confirms this as it picked up a massive chunk after a single forward pass. The i3 Plus scored the highest in deep cleaning tests, picking up 84.7% on average, while the i6 Plus was the best overall on carpet cleaning tests. The i6 Plus also did the best on both 5 and 7-inch strands, with the least amount of hair wrapping on a brush in the hair wrap test. Yeedi did well at least with shorter 5-inch strands, with nothing wrapping on the bristles, but not as well with longer 7-inch strands. One advantage of Roomba extractors is hair easily comes off, so even if there's a lot of hair wrap, it's easier to clean. The Vac Station was the best of the three at cleaning edges, as it picked up the most debris in this area, followed by the i6 Plus, while the i3 Plus did the worst. You can see the airflow difference in play here. These results show that cleaning performance shouldn't be a deciding factor, as the difference isn't much. However, this next one could be. One feature that the Yeedi Vac Station has over these two Roomba products is the ability to mop floors. This robot comes with an electronic water tank and mopping pad, enabling it to vacuum and mop simultaneously. I tested it on red wine stains and it did a very decent job. The results are close to a Roborock S5 Max, since it didn't leave any noticeable residue, which is always a good sign. It also has this carpet sensor underneath that prevents it from going over carpet without having to draw containment zones on the app when the mopping pad is attached. Speaking of which, the Yeedi app has more features than the iRobot app. It has a live map showing the robot's location in real time as it vacuums or mops. iRobot doesn't have this feature and only shows this graphic. Unfortunately, the Yeedi app can only save one map, while the i6 Plus app can save up to 10 map levels. The i3 Plus doesn't have any map saving feature since it doesn't have the DUSTBIN algorithm but only floor sensors. Since it doesn't have map saving, the i3 Plus doesn't have access to features like keep out zones or clean zones, so consumers won't be able to ask the i3 to clean specific rooms or areas. It's like a smarter and more efficient version of the Roomba E5. The Vac Station and i6 Plus have access to containment features. Yeedi calls it virtual boundaries, while iRobot calls it keep out zones. Both apps have zone cleaning, where you can specify box or rectangle areas the robot will clean. The difference is, with iRobot, you can save these zones and Yeedi cannot. Please note that only the i6 Plus has access to this feature since it has the VSLAM algorithm. Both apps have a scheduling feature with the option to schedule multiple runs per day. But one difference between the two apps is iRobot has a minimum gap of 3 hours between runs, while Yeedi does not. iRobot put in that threshold, I'm guessing, because of its below average runtime, which I'll get to in the next section. Yeedi comes with a larger 5200 mAh lithium-ion battery, running further up to 200 minutes in its lowest setting. In comparison, both the Roomba i3 and i6 have a smaller 1800 mAh lithium-ion battery and will only run for up to 75 minutes. But with recharge and resume, runtime shouldn't be a concern since it will recharge then resume cleaning afterward if the battery runs low. The Yeedi Vac Station is the noisiest option of the three, which is expected since it has a higher airflow output, but only at 66.1 decibels, not far off the i3's 64.9 decibels and the i6's 64.5 decibels. However, Roomba's base station will be noisier at close to 80 decibels, while Yeedi maxes out at 74.1 decibels. To conclude this comparison, the Yeedi Vac Station is surprisingly close to the Roomba i3 and i6 thanks to its high airflow. There isn't much of a difference between these three robots with cleaning performance. The difference is too small to declare an outright winner. Yeedi also adds another dimension to its functionality by having a mopping feature, something absent in both Roomba options here. It has more app features than the i3 and i6, but unfortunately, it only saves one map level. One concern I have with Yeedi being a new brand is the availability of parts, which Roomba has an abundance of since it's so popular. But the price difference makes the Yeedi Vac Station a compelling option since it offers the same performance at a lower cost. Let me know what you think about these products in the comment section below. Consider giving it a thumbs up if this video has been helpful to you. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified for more comparisons like this. Links are in the description for more information. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.